I won't go into all the gory details of our relationship. We were in love, and well, I still love him. But I found out, clearly he does not. I discovered proof that he has been cheating on me for a while, in the form of small home movies of them. I don't know the girl, and from the looks of their conversations, Yep went ahead and post-discovery snooped. She has no idea I exist. Tonight is the biggest night of my boyfriend's life. He's receiving a state award at a big dinner with a few hundred people attending, from his mom and dad to councilmen and all of that. In fact, the only reason I discovered this transgression is because I have been putting together a little video for him to enjoy of some of the key moments of his life. You know, typical sappy crap. I'm burdened with a lot of power right now, and I don't know if I have it in me to do the right thing, or if I even know the right thing. I'm blinded with tears of rage and sadness and betrayal, but at the same time, I love him, have loved him, and do I really want to do this? The relationship is over. No doubt about it. I am not a woman who will take her man cheating on her. Certainly not. That's not the issue. The issue is, there are cutesy selfies of the two of them. A lot of them only shared between the two of them. Nothing lewd. There's plenty of that on camera, though. Do I sneak one in the snap reel as a way of letting him know that I know? Or do I simply confront him after his moment in the sun passes? I'm not going to pick up everything and leave without cutting contact. That's not my style, and it wouldn't make me feel good, just very sad. Do I do the bitchy thing for once in my life? To anyone looking at the snap reel, it would just look like a picture of him and a friend. But to him and to me, it would be a private message, an outing. Help me. I don't know what to do this time. Update. Well, it's been a month and a half since this all went down. I have gotten so many requests for an update, and I never intended to actually give one, honestly, because I was afraid of the fallout, depending on what I ended up doing. So what did I do? I did the immature, vengeful thing, and I don't regret it. I took a few photos of the two of them, tasteful photos that gave off no indication other than she might be a childhood friend. I slipped them into the snap reel, and I spoke kindly of him at the podium. Then after my turn was finished, I walked out. I drove home feeling calm and in control. 20 minutes later, the texts started. Where did I go? What did I know? Where did I find the photos? Was there more in store for him? I texted him, I know you've been ducking her, but there are no more photos. There weren't any, and of course I left it at that. He didn't come home that night or the next. The next day he called me to ask me if we could meet and talk at a public location. I agreed to meet him at Starbucks. I arrived early, waited for him. He showed up a few minutes late and took the seat across from me. He started right off with the excuses, how it just happened, and he regrets it fully. She doesn't mean anything to him, and that she looked like a girl he had a crush on in high school, and he was powerless against his teenage self. I didn't interrupt him, just let him have his time. When he was done and looking at me for a sign of what might happen next, all I could say was, "So where did you stay the past few nights?" "Her house." "And what did you do?" He wouldn't answer. There hadn't been any doubt in my mind. Really, I knew I was leaving him. He talked over himself, apologizing, begging for forgiveness, saying he'd change. I told him that I didn't want him to have to change himself, that if who he was, naturally, was someone who cheated on his girlfriend, then that's not someone I wanted to be with. He said that he was thinking of proposing to me, and all I could say after that was, "Good thing I found out before." Fast forward to a few weeks later. He's moved out, and I am doing well. We have cut off contact. People ask me about him all the time, and I just let them know. He left me for a girl who looked like his high school crush. So that's the end. We are broken up. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. I don't feel any regret for how I handled it. Like one commenter said, there's no need to take the high road all the time. Basically, 4 years ago, I, 29F, was supposed to be getting married to my fiance at the time, Jay. Everything was going perfect. I was in my dress, had my makeup on, and taken pictures with my bridesmaids. I was pretty much ready to walk down the aisle when Jay's best man pulled me to side and said Jay was gone. He had gotten into a car and left, and no one was able to get a hold of him. I came home to our apartment, and all his stuff was gone. He's been pretty much a ghost ever since he left me, and I had to force myself to move on. I ended up going on our honeymoon with my best friends, which was the best decision ever, and then put myself in therapy to heal the horrible trust issues I now have. I haven't heard from him once until today. I guess he got back in contact with an old mutual friend who gave him my number. Jay texted me and said wants to meet up and apologize. He says he has a lot to explain to me about what happened that day. I'm torn. I swore Jay was a dead memory, but my curiosity and desire to get closure with him is pestering me. My current boyfriend supports me whatever I decide, and I feel out of respect to him and how wonderful he's been. I should ghost Jay. I'm very confused. I never expected to hear from Jay again. I have no idea what to do. Please help. Update. First off, I just want to thank everyone for the advice. I honestly wrote the post to just vent my frustration and confusion and possibly get advice. I honestly forgot about the post for a few days until my sister and I were talking, and she mentioned she saw a post from some girl getting left at the altar and ex showing up again years later. I told her it was mine, and she has been pushing me to do an update post. I figure it might be therapeutic to write everything down as final closing of the J chapter. This all happened 2 weeks ago. Against most of the advice, I did meet up with Jay. As a lot of you said, it did not add any value to my life. Also, it was part of a 12-step program and he was making amends. We met up at a park and my boyfriend came with me. He sat off to the side while Jay and I talked. I actually feel stupider after meeting with him. There were a lot of things in our relationship that would have had me out the door if I paid more attention and if he wasn't such a great liar. Basically, for the last year of our relationship, he was doing drugs and cheating on me. He had been struggling with his sexuality for years, and it's not surprising it ended up this way now knowing the truth. His family are incredibly homophobic and horrible people. I wanted nothing to do with them when we were together, but he insisted on them being around just for the big life events, like our wedding. The drugs were something to get him through the day and act like he was in love with me when he was actually in love with someone else. He had met his boyfriend at work, and I had actually met him a few times when I'd drop off lunch for Jay. When our wedding approached, his boyfriend said he needed to choose and Jay chose him. So he packed his bags up and pretended everything was great until his boyfriend picked him up and they moved 2 towns over. I asked him if he was still with his boyfriend and he said no. He thought he could quit the drugs once he was free of his family and lying, but he couldn't. His boyfriend found out and left him. He kept going, getting high and hooking up with randoms. One of his regular hookups ended up overdosing while they were asleep in the same bed and died, and he realized he had to get sober. He apologized for not just being honest with me and leading me on like he did. He wished he could go back and be truthful, because I would have been the most accepting of him being gay out of everyone. He said he missed me when he left, because even though he didn't love me romantically, I was his best friend. It was a lot to take in. I told him while I'm glad he's okay and is doing better, I'd prefer for us not to have any contact moving forward, but I do forgive him. He said he understood, and he was only in town for a few more days, and he'd be gone for good again. I'll admit, when I got home, I cried. My boyfriend held me and ordered me my favourite takeout. He's been really the best and didn't pressure me to talk about anything until I was ready. So if I got anything out of the worst day of my life, it's led me to who I'm with now.